What's up, Covalence friends? Today we're starting a series that I like to call Funny Function Fridays. And we're going to be looking at the function parseInt. And that's all I got. Let's get into it. All right, so we have a very basic project here. We just have our index.html. We have an app.js that's obviously being ran in our index. And we have our app.css as well. So all we really have in here is a button that is going to parse an int. And it's going to just call that function when we click it. So let's get into our app.js. The app.css is pretty simple. We're just creating a big button. Let's go ahead and run this or get into this app.js. We're just hooking up a click event listener to our button. And this is where we're actually going to start, right? And so basically the function we're going to be working with today, we're going to console.log a bunch of stuff. But our console.log is going to be logging the results of this parseInt function. So we're calling this parseInt, which basically takes in a string value and a radix. And it actually takes in, with TypeScript, it'll actually force you to pass in a string, which I think is kind of funny. But if you pass in anything else, it actually always converts whatever you pass in to a string. So you can actually parseInt 4, and it's going to still run this, right? But it's going to actually call the toString method on this. So if we want to run this real quick, let's go ahead and just kind of open this up. And we're going to run this. Let's open up our console. And we're going to click the button, and you see that it actually parses it as 4. And it is a number, right? So if it was a string, it would look like this. And so it is parsing it, and we're getting a 4. So big surprise, it parsed the number 4 as a 4, right? But what's interesting is you can actually parse anything that has a toString function. So you can actually create an object, and you can create a toString function in here, and you can say the toString is going to return hello, or let's just say 10, right? So it's going to return 10, and now it's just an object. So we're parsing an object now. And if you just parse a regular object, let's do that too. Console.log parseInt object. All right, and so let's go ahead and we're going to refresh, and we're going to run this. And you can see that the object is not a number, but the toString method returns a 10. And so it actually returns the value of 10. So you can actually see that it basically, what I'm getting at here is that it takes everything and it converts to a string first. So no matter what it is, it's always going to convert it to a string, and then it's going to use that to actually determine the value of whatever it is. Now, the interesting thing is if you go into something like fractions now, so if we parseInt 0.001, right? Actually, let's just do 0. Let's just keep it simple. 0.01. That's a number that actually you might use in real life. All right, so let's go ahead and refresh this. You can see that it returns 0. And the reason for this is actually because, again, it converts this to a string. So it actually converts it to 0.01, basically this, right? So it converts it to 0.01 string value, right? So that's basically what this is. And then it tries to basically convert this to a number, which it gets to 0, and then it converts that into a 5. Now, the funny thing is if you do console.log parseInt, and then you do some kind of fraction, 1 divided by 999, let's just say, right? Now, what do you think we're going to get here, right? You would think it would be something weird, maybe 0, not a number, whatever it is. Actually, let's do something a little bit bigger. 999,000. Let's do 999,999. All right, so let's go ahead, run this. And you still get 0. So hold on, let's see. I want to actually see console.log, trying to get an actual value. Oops. Refresh. Okay, so it actually does get the 0 because of that. Let's try and get it to go even bigger. Let's go even further, huh? And we're gonna refresh. All right, so now we actually get it to the point where we're getting the e values. So let's copy this and we're going to parse int that value. And now we can actually see we get 1 because of the fact that we're actually getting this value 1 here. It doesn't quite know what to really do. So I wonder if we can, one more test. I want to actually get this thing. Let's see if we do something like 2. All right, there we go. So we actually get 2 there. If we did 5, we'd probably get 5. So this parseInt is actually going to parse that crazy fraction as just 2, 5, whatever. So make sure you're careful when you're using parseInt. And yeah, that's basically our funny function Friday. So again, that's parseInt. It's cool with the objects that you get the 2 string value. Funny enough, if you were to look at something like a number, so a lot of functions actually do this. If you look at something like the number function, for instance, it doesn't actually use the toString method. It'll actually use the value of, which if you were to return 10 here, all right, then you're actually going to get, or actually, let's see if we did, just so that it's something different so we know what's actually being called. So let's say 5. All right, so now number has to choose between toString or value of. Same thing, if we pass this up here, toString value of, we can see the difference in what's going on here. So if we actually get the numbers here, well, let's comment out everything else so that we don't lose track of it. All right, so we can see that the parseInt actually does the toString value. It grabs this, whereas the number does the value of, right? And so again, parseInt, value of, similar in the sense of how they operate, slightly different in what they actually use to get the value. So little bonus feature, and that's it. All right, so I hope you guys found that even somewhat interesting. If not, feel free to let us know in the comments below. We'll never do another one of the Funny Function Fridays. Or if you have a better name, please drop it in the comments below as well. Other than that, make sure that you give us some feedback. Check out our merch store, and we hope to see you back soon.